Live from the USA. Broadcasting around the world. You're listening to the podcast show, You've Been Warned, with Jake and Josh. We talk about what we want to talk about. If you're easily offended, please don't email us.
You want to talk to them about, like, you know, where we're streaming at? You know, tell them where we're.
Well, heck, yes, I would. I would absolutely love to take that amazing opportunity that you have blessed me with. Thank you, there, good.
You falling asleep in the? You falling asleep in the chair? Oh my God!
We are live on Facebook, guys, as everybody that is active in the chat has already realized, because you guys are all interacting through the Facebook chat. Thank you, guys. We're also live on Twitch. If you guys are not familiar with Twitch streaming, I highly recommend you check it out. It is a completely 100% streaming platform, which means they have higher video quality and it's a lot easier to navigate chat. You get a lot more benefits for interacting. It's a fun place to be. But either way, you can catch us on either of those two, and all of our information is going to be uploaded on YouTube after the fact. So you can catch the edited, polished up, super fun versions on YouTube.
Man, that was...
How'd it do, Jake?
You did good.
All right.
Cha-ching. Ringing up the tab. Here we go.
All right. But yeah, so it's exciting, man. Soon we might be able to experiment with being live on all three platforms. We want to see how the engagement goes, guys. We really do love whenever you guys interact with us. It makes the show very fun. And so whenever you guys are able to be a part of the chat with us and just kind of hang out, it makes it a lot more fun. And if you do it through Twitch or YouTube or Facebook, we have all the chats pulled up, so we'll be able to see you and you can be a part of the show, man. It's a good time.
Well, it's funny because that was nice. It was very nice, by the way.
Thank you.
You did an excellent job. No, but it's so if you're watching us right now on Facebook, if you look into the description, there's an interesting little thing, and there's a link in there for Patreon. So, you know, as we continue to do on the show, we have some different options, and you know, we're going to be giving away different things. So you can click on that link and check it out, you know, and you can become a fan and a subscriber and a supporter and definitely help us out. So definitely check out that link. And, you know, don't forget to check out our YouTube page, like you said. Man, so we got a crazy episode, I think. This was a hard one. This is a hard one to put together.
I mean, there's so much happening right now, and it's such a delicate topic of conversation, but I think it is so important for our nation to come out the other side of this and be in a better place. But you're right, dude. It was tough to figure out how we wanted to incorporate it into the show, but it's so big and it's so massive that it felt like that we couldn't not make it part of the show, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, like the first two episodes were, I mean, like the show is built to be kind of funny and quirky, and you know, it's unfiltered, no holds barred type of deal, right? Like as we get further into discussions, so like, and that's mostly how it is. But I don't think that we can ignore, you know, kind of what's going on right now in America. So like, I feel like we need to address that first. And that's going to be like a little bit more of a serious note, you know? So, but I think it needs to be that way. And so, I mean, we got to talk about it.
I'm totally on board with you. We're on the same page right now. So where do you want to start?
Well, I think first let's obviously in lieu of all the events that are going on right now, you know, we're all familiar now with George Floyd, and a lot of our cities currently have riots in them going on. So we got a quick little video that we think is very important that we'd want to show just about George Floyd and the day of with everything was happening. And I think we should just go ahead and show that, and then we can discuss it. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that.
All right.
Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name.
On May 25th, 2020, George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, died after a white police officer, holding his knee on Floyd's neck, pinned him to the pavement while he was in handcuffs. In the days that followed, public outrage grew over what some protesters and lawmakers said is another case of police brutality against a black man. The Washington Post reconstructed some of the events surrounding the death of Floyd, using private security footage and audio of EMS calls, as well as cell phone video. In Minneapolis, the incident occurred on the corner of East 38th Street and Chicago Avenue. A security camera outside the Dragon Walk restaurant at the corner captured an initial police interaction with Floyd. The footage obtained by the Post begins at 7:50 p.m. The camera didn't capture the audio of the encounter. The timestamp on the video is 24 minutes ahead of current time, according to the owner of the restaurant, Rashad West. On the corner, facing Chicago Avenue, is the Cup Foods convenience store. According to Jamar B. Nelson, a spokesman for the owner of Cup Foods, 2 men, including Floyd, used counterfeit currency to purchase items. The employees noticed the men were still outside of the shop, inside a blue Mercedes SUV, and went to speak with them. Floyd is in the driver's seat. While they're outside of the shop, at 8:01 p.m., the police are called for a report of a forgery, according to the department. Officers from the Minneapolis Police Department arrive at Cup Foods. 2 officers walk into the store, and a minute later, leave and cross the street to the blue SUV. An officer goes to the door. Behind the SUV, in a Ford Mercury, a bystander at 8:10 p.m. started filming the exchange between Floyd and the officer. The view is partially obscured, but shows the moments before Floyd is handcuffed. What appears to be a brief struggle occurs before Floyd exits the car. Floyd is handcuffed. Only part of the conversation between Floyd and the officers is captured in the footage. A minute later, an officer seats the handcuffed Floyd against a wall. And a minute after that, stands Floyd up on his feet. The Minneapolis officers then walk Floyd across the street to the sidewalk in front of Cup Foods. In the view from the camera at the restaurant, Floyd appears to be placed against the police car outside the store and falls. Officers pick him back up and put him back against the police car door. Body cam video released by the Minneapolis Park Police begins at 8:14 p.m. when a parks officer responding to a request for assistance from Minneapolis police parks his vehicle in front of Cup Foods. A police officer with a handcuffed Floyd asks him to guard the vehicle across the street. At 8:15 p.m., some interaction on the driver's side of the cruiser occurs between the police and Floyd before Floyd can be seen on the ground. The vantage point does not have a clear view of the sequence of events. However, a second later, Floyd's head appears above the police car before he moves out of the frame. At 8:17 p.m., a third squad car arrives. 2 officers exit the vehicle. Bystanders identify them by their name and badge numbers as Officer Tho Tao and Derek Chauvin. Their identities were later confirmed by the police department. Thao and Chauvin walked over to the other officers already outside the store with Floyd. At 8:18 p.m., there appears to be a struggle on the passenger side of the vehicle that lasts for at least a minute. At this vantage point, we cannot see who was involved. A criminal complaint later filed against one of the officers alleges Floyd refused to enter the car, even after officers moved him from the driver's side to the passenger side. Movement stopped around 8:20 p.m. This video was filmed around the same time, near the Speedway gas station across the street from Cup Foods. The video appears to show one officer kneeling on Floyd's neck, while 2 other officers crouch nearby. At 8:20 p.m., bystander Darnella Frazier who is standing near the entrance of Cup Foods, begins to film. In Frazier's video, we can see Floyd pinned face down by the knee of the officer, later confirmed by the department as Chauvin.
Please. Please. Please, I can't breathe. Please, man.
At 8:22 p.m., 2 minutes after Frazier started filming, officers called for an ambulance. The dispatcher called for an ambulance to the location citing a code 2.
412, Minneapolis, Cup Foods, 3759 Chicago Avenue, code 2 for medical.
12 copy, code 2.
At 8:23 p.m., the urgency of the response was escalated, according to EMS recordings.
412, we're going to go 3.
Copy, code 3.
Floyd remained pinned on the ground. At 8:25 p.m., nearly 5 minutes after Frazier started filming, onlookers confronted the officers about Floyd's condition after it appeared he was not conscious.
Responsive right now, bro. Does he have a pulse? No, bro, look at him. He's not responsive right now, bro.
Check for a pulse.
Across the street, the parked police officer speaks to a passenger who was in the vehicle with Floyd.
Let's stay put here. All right, tell my partners and I'm done over there and they can figure things out. We'll figure things out, all right? Right now, we're grabbing an ambulance for you, buddy.
At 8:27 p.m., a Hennepin Healthcare ambulance arrives. Shortly afterwards, a young relative of the store owner walks out of Cup Foods. In Frazier's video, an onlooker reacts to the young man.
In the store, bro. He's not moving.
I see that. I'm trying to help y'all out.
Bro, you don't need to help me out, bro. I know your parents. I know everybody that owns the store. You don't need to help me the out, bro. He's not moving right now. Are you serious?
The young man tries to intervene and stop the police, but is pushed by Officer Tao. Officer Chauvin lifts his knee from Floyd's neck around 8:28 p.m. after 8 minutes and 46 seconds, according to a criminal complaint filed against the officer. Floyd was placed on a stretcher around 8:29 p.m. At the same time, the fire department was called.
12, fire 3, please.
412, copy. Adding fire, code 3.
Frazier's video shows the Hennepin ambulance leaving the scene at 8:30 p.m. According to a May 26 report from the fire department, 2 crew members of a fire department ambulance boarded the Hennepin ambulance at 36th Street and Park Avenue. Inside the report says, medics are working on unresponsive, pulseless male. The incident report states that Floyd died at 9:25 p.m. at the Hennepin Healthcare Emergency Room.
So, you know, some pretty powerful stuff there. You know, and it needed to be, you know, it needs to be said on every platform that's available to say that, like, this is not okay. You know what I mean?
That's hard to watch, man. Like, I couldn't imagine, like, actually having to be there and, like, see that, like, in person.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard enough to watch on the
It's
video.
digest.
And it's a tough, you know, it's tough. It's just
Well,
it's very it's hard to believe that we're still here. You know, that's how I feel right now. Like this.
yeah,
is
like it's
2020,
crazy
you
that
know?
this is still a thing that actually happens. And like the part that's so crazy is like that wasn't behind closed doors where somebody thought they were getting away with it.
Yeah.
Like that was blatant in the public with people like pleading with you during the entire act where other people, where everybody can see. And yet it still happened.
Yeah, it's
Tough, man.
you know, it's So you have some of the backstory on the police officer, right? Because we talk a lot about this, but you have some, we briefly talked, but you had that info on the officer.
Yeah, he had double-digit complaints about excessive force against him, and yet is still just working his job like normal, like still in the position to make the horrible mistake that he did. Like you can't even call it an accident. Like it was just, and I don't even know if mistake is the right word. Like it was a mistake for a human to treat another human that way, but it's not like his actions were mistaken. Like he did what he was trying to do there. Like it's just a crazy act of complete lack of respect for mankind.
Yeah, like I feel like, and we've talked about this, like this has been going on for a long time. Like we're in a place now, like how is this acceptable behavior for any human being? I just it's sad, actually. It's sad that we're
I think like whenever, and I agree with you, it is sad, it's terrible. I think whenever you think about how cops are able to be in this position and how they're able to have this type of behavior that continues and it repeats, shows that there is a problem with the actual system itself. And I think the most logical real step that I've heard that doesn't seem like it would really take that much to implement, like it would take some effort obviously, but any solution would require massive effort, but would be to have like some sort of national database that if you get a complaint filed against you and you're in like, and you work in the police force, like it goes into a national database. That way, anywhere that you are, like you can't get a complaint filed against you and then go to the next city and then just still be a cop and act like you never mistreated people.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be a nationwide database that belongs to, and there needs to be like a strict system in place. Like it shouldn't be any different than any other job. Like if I get a customer complaint 3 times as a manager, they're going to be questioning my ability to be in that position. Shouldn't be any different than for police. Like if you're getting excessive force or racist complaints against you, they have to be taken serious. And this is proof. This is the result of years and years and years. Just like Gino says in the chat, hundreds of years even of that getting ignored and that not even being looked at as something that needs to happen. And so I'm really anxious to see how the government responds and what long-lasting legal, like punishable by law changes can we make, and can we even count on our government to do it in a way that actually protects people and actually pushes human rights forward. Like something that's crazy to think about is it took months for us to respond to the COVID-19 crisis.
Yeah. That
they were calling this crazy pandemic, and it's going to basically making it seem like everybody's going to die. Like that's really the mass hysteria. They created panic and fear, and it took months for us to respond to it when we had a real heads up that it was coming from China. But it took days for us to militarize against our own citizens.
Yeah.
Days. So it's like, can we even really trust the government to actually fulfill this mission? Like how much of it is going to be up to the civilians ourselves to do whatever needs to be done? It's tough, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely has to be, like, you can't do that job and like have any type of like issues, You know, like it's got to be you're taking an oath, you know, to uphold the law. You're supposed to protect us. Like you can't. That's one job that you can't be bad at. You know, and even at the lowest percentage or whatever, that's still 1% is too much. You can't be this way at this job. You know, so there's got to be somebody that's making better decisions, because this is nuts, man.
I mean, the thing that I have kind of been chin checked on, if you will, through this whole thing is like, I feel like the number one immediate thing that everybody can do is just become extravagantly involved in local elections and who we decide to give power to. Because I think, like, my entire life, I have had the outlook of I can't actually truly trust the government. Like, I didn't really believe in the system. Like, I wasn't like an anarchist or anything, but I just didn't. To me, it was evident that they weren't really there for the betterment of people. Like, that it was a business that was being ran by people making money, and that made me not want to be involved in it in any way, shape, or form. And so, like, I've never paid attention to elections or who my governor was or any of that type of stuff. And then now as years go on and I'm getting older, and all the things that are things that I could actually control would be, who am I putting in power to make these local decisions? And so if you look at where all this stuff happened with George Floyd, like, there are people who are in elected positions. And I think that this shows that we have to be hypercritical of those people, and we need to be involved, and we need to actually sway whether or not they get to keep moving forward in their political career. And I think it's going to take so much energy from just normal citizens getting involved in that, when it's not something that we normally do. Because, like, I don't know people who are super heavily involved in it unless their family is some way related into politics. And maybe it's just because of the kind of circles that I run with, but like, I really don't know that many people who are super politically driven, except for like a bunch of people who are just older than me, if that makes sense.
You know, this is going to sound crazy, but you know, I really do firmly believe, but the government may or may not really be in charge of everything. You know, because the top 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the wealthiest people in the world undoubtedly have been making decisions for this country since the very beginning. So please don't think that has changed now, you know, just because we're in 2020. So there's, you know, the super rich, man, they have a hand in all of this. I really do believe that. It just shouldn't happen, you know. It just should not happen.
Yeah, it's and it's crazy to see the results of everything that's happening. You know, like there's so much content out there with there's great coverage of a lot of peaceful protests that are happening. I've seen a lot of great things happen. Obviously, there's a lot of crazy things happening with lootings and riots and buildings getting set on fire and all of those things, where there's a lot of just destruction in the community. And I mean, I think we all understand why it's happening and the anger behind it. And but man, shit, I really forgot where I was going, because the more I was thinking about that, it takes you to such a crazy place to think that that's actually happening right now. Like, these are things that are happening. Oh, some of the beautiful things that have been happening. Like, I'm here in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Norfolk is literally like 15 minutes away from where I'm at. And the chief of police of the Norfolk Police Department actually went out and met these guys, like the whole group of people who were doing peaceful protest, and joined them, like, and walked in front and like led the charge when they were walking down, you know, the strip or the main area that they were having this protest at. And he walked with them. And I just thought that was the coolest. That was just a really good image, because I'm like, you think about bringing a community together and not creating the divide between civilians and the police, and not letting it be that. Like, it doesn't need to be white people versus black people, or civilians versus police, or black people versus police. Like, it needs to be everybody versus racism is what it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I think whenever you can see like the chief of police being able to get out there and put his own face, his own reputation, his own career, and be able to stand for this message over all of those things, I feel like it's just such a powerful image. And then to see the picture of it being a mixture of races that's in the protests and everything, it's just, to me, it made me really feel like it made me wonder how many other places that this type of behavior is happening and people are being this accepting and this open-minded of each other, and it just doesn't get covered because that's not what the media is going to show. The media wants us to be scared. The media wants us to be frazzled. The media wants us to hate each other and be mad at each other. Like, that's just their MO, right? Like, it's so crazy, man. But like, Hitler's catchphrase was divide and conquer.
Yeah.
And that the news has done nothing but divide us for so long. Like, there's so much crazy stuff going on with the Trump presidency, and a lot of people talking about how, like, obviously what he's doing and how he's responding. And there's a lot of people out there saying that everything that we're seeing right now, all these lootings and the riots and the outlandish acts against George Floyd that ended his life and kind of put this movement in the direction it's going, like, it's the result of 3 years of leadership that hasn't been bringing people together.
Yeah.
And I think the oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but the gentleman that resigned in 2018, like right whenever Trump was elected president, it was the chief of defense I cannot remember his name. I need to look it up real quick. But have you seen his statement that he put out? He put out a statement like hours ago. It was the first thing that he had said since he had resigned.
Yeah, who are you
have you
talking
seen anything about that? Let me pull it up over here real quick.
You said in what, 2018?
That's whenever he resigned, but he put out the statement.
Are you talking
today.
about Colin Powell?
Was that his name? Chat, do you guys know what I'm talking about?
So you said he just put a statement up today.
Yeah, he put out a statement today, and basically, like, the short version of his statement was, "Hey, I wasn't gonna make a bunch of public statements about any of this," but he goes in depth and describes how the leadership of the current POTUS is dividing the nation and is a direct threat to the Constitution. And it's like, holy shit. Yes, thank you, General Mattis. Mike, you were right on the money with that. See, I knew somebody in chat was going to embarrass me that I forgot. Literally, I was talking about it right before we went live, and that's why I drew a blank on it. Thank you guys for all these new follows into the show. You guys are watching You've Been Warned with myself, Drop Tech, and the man over there, J Stacks.
Man,
but yeah. Anyways, I don't want to get into like a bunch of Trump stuff because I don't want to get distracted from the message of what we're talking about. But there's a lot of weird things that are happening right now. Where like at a lot of these riots, like there is footage that's out there. It's very accessible and easy to find on Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram, or any of the major social media platforms, really, of cops loading and unloading, I should say, pallets of bricks in these major cities where these protests are planned to happen. And it's like they're literally antagonizing this chaos, and then the media films the chaos, and then it fuels more chaos. And it's like the media did everything that they possibly could to make us scared and frightened about COVID-19. Yeah. And then now that all this race stuff is happening, it's like, did we just forget about this global pandemic that was happening? Like, and there's a couple other interesting things that I don't want to get too far into because I'm not educated enough on it. But I was also reading a couple of snippets of things that were saying that, like, right now there's also Hillary Clinton is supposed to be being trialed for something, some accusation that's happening. Like she's supposed to be in the courts for something. And so it's like the media is just the government's number one, like, tool of distraction. Like it's just a shiny toy that they just wave in front of society, and whichever way they throw it, we go chasing after this damn ball, and the whole time they're over here petting a different dog or doing something crazy behind our back. You know what I mean? Like they're just distracting us while they do whatever needs to be done on the backside. Like Gino just says in the chat right there, it's chess, not checkers. Like it's some crazy shit. It's just wild. Like, and so it makes me question so much. It makes me like, how I was saying, like, I wonder how many other places out there are people having that type of beautiful moment that I share with the chief of police here in Norfolk, like, or Norfolk. You can tell I don't live in Norfolk because I say Norfolk. If you're from Norfolk, you call it Norfolk. But I just felt like I had to clarify just in case any locals were watching. I didn't want to catch, any hell at work. So
right, there you go.
I got a small disclaimer. Take it up with Batman if you need to. He's on. He's up there.
God.
You know what? Show the disclaimer. Just do it.
Oh man, are you sure?
Yeah, do it. They're not ready.
They're not ready.
Peekaboo.
Not ready. That was a weird transition there.
No, they wasn't ready, man. You got to brace yourself for that type of reality check right there, right? Like you got a problem, you got to take it up with Batman.
Right, not us.
Yeah, definitely not us.
I mean, I would advise probably not going to do that with Batman. But I mean, whatever you want to do is fine. Just don't send us a message, because I don't even know.
Yeah,
I don't even think we have that set up. We just don't even look at it.
Well, I was gonna say, episode 1, we discovered that I don't check email, so
clearly, that. Clearly. So what I really want to ask you about though, so like as you were talking a little bit more about it, and you're so like you had that experience, where you're at, right, which is great, but there's a lot of cities that aren't having that same type of experience. I mean, like we have at DC, it's crazy. Baltimore, it's crazy. Richmond, where we have friends at, has been absolutely insane. And, of course, New York. I mean, it's just, so what is your, and the reason why I want to ask you is because so you're looking at some different things.
Well, I'm confused about what I was looking at right there.
Yeah. But this is what I want to say. Like, I really want to find out, because that's not, you haven't had that experience, right? And all these people are like, what is your thought on like the looting side of what's taking place now? I mean, like this right here is the Washington Memorial. Like they've written all over it.
I don't know how I feel about this image that I'm seeing right here, because the way that I feel about the looting and the rioting in general is different than the way that I feel about that image right there.
It's the National World War II Memorial. I just want to correct myself there. Like what?
Well, and the reason that I'm uncertain about it is because I feel like these types of memorials, these sorts of things are something that I feel like a lot of people would consider a sacred space. And so you think of you think of like people who, you take it way back to the beginning, and how Indians had sacred land, and there's it's still in existence now. Like even in Hawaii, like they have land out there that is sacred that they will never commercialize, because it's sacred land to the residents there, to the people who occupy that place, and have lived there generation after generation after generation. I'm forgetting the word for that, but
I mean, but so like that's not even it, right? So like this is the World War II Memorial. It's been vandalized, but there was other there's other memorials down there in DC, like the Lincoln Memorial, which is huge. And so like all of these other places that are supposed to be held sacred in our country. I'm just curious to know, like, what's your thought process on the looting and these type of things? Like, what? I mean, what's your
so that's where it gets tough to me, is because like I feel like it's a sacred thing, but then it makes me also wonder, just because I feel like it's sacred, does everybody else feel like it's sacred? And it's like, whenever you think about the military and you think of a lot of the things that everything has happened, like it was for so long and for so much of it, like it was led and in charge of white males. And so like, it makes me wonder, like, is it sacred because it was taught for it to be sacred to me by other fellow white men? Or is it seen differently because of that? Or is it that somebody just had absolutely no respect, period, for it, and they were just vandalizing something to vandalize it? Because there are those people who just do that too. It's like, I don't know, man. I have such mixed emotions about this piece particular whenever it comes to vandalizing a memorial like this.
Yeah, I mean, so like the other, that's only part of it, that you're not having that experience that other people are. This is in
so
Richmond,
here's the
not
thing, though.
far
Like,
from you.
I don't want to be I don't want to be confused. Like, there are like riots and stuff that are happening here. Like, there's footage of like this crazy dude in a like a big truck with an American flag in the bed of the truck, like stapled to the middle of it, however people do that, and like runs through a group of people in Virginia Beach, like in my home city. So like, I do have the crazy shit that's happening, like, and there have I know there's been 1 or 2 buildings that have been burned down, but it's not like the city's ablaze type stuff like it is in other cities. But there was that one beautiful moment that was there. But go ahead, what you were saying. I just wanted to say, like, I am catching it. I'm just not Richmond level.
Yeah, so like, that's what I mean. Like, so, but Richmond is not far from you. Like, I used to travel down here all the time. Like, I would hit Richmond first and then go right to Virginia Beach where you're at. It's like an hour and a half drive, I think, like, if you're driving. Yeah. And so you're not far away. And things that are just crazy right now that are happening in Richmond, like, there's protesters in Richmond that blocked the firemen to getting to a house that was on fire that had a child inside. So like, that's not far from you. Like, so we're having riots. People are going in, they're just busting up everything, but like, yeah, everybody knows, right, that they knew there's a kid inside, and they would not let the firemen go and do their job, even to save the kid. Like, how shitty is that? That's not far from you. So like, what's your take on that? I mean,
it's such a hard thing to try to have to think about and try to process and digest and then be able to have a real opinion on it. Like, it's obviously, my heart goes out to, and I'm saddened for the family that has the kid stuck in a burning building for any reason, for something to go wrong. But for it to go wrong by the choice of a group of people who could have just chose to do different, that's where it starts to get really tough. And where I start to get really lost in my own thoughts really is whenever I start to think about, like, as tragic as it is and as terrible as it is, whenever you try to actually compare the scale of, okay, well, if you take every horrible instance of every rioting and every looting thing that happens right now and you compare it against all the wrongdoings that have happened to people of color in this nation, even if you just only compare it to police brutality type things, I still think that police brutality would have the heavier side of the scale there. So it's like, obviously that doesn't make any of it justified, right. But if we were to fast forward 50 years from now or 100 years or however many years, hopefully you don't have to go too many years ahead for there to be massive changes. But like I'm saying right now, like in 2020, and you think back to how things were in the 60s, it's insane to imagine that that's how things were back then as well. Yeah. And so I'm thinking, 50 years ahead from now, like will we be looking back on these moments and saying, hey, yeah, you know, like all this crazy stuff happened, and that happened because of the previous, you know, 50, 100 plus years of misjudgment and mistreatment. And it's like, I don't know if the scales could ever be evened. I don't know with the injustices that have served forever, there's no way for us to actually balance the scale back in and be able to correct all the wrongdoing that's happened. I think it's going to take just as much effort as it takes for people who have like just subconscious bias because of the way that society is structured. Not that anybody taught them to be this way, but it's literally systemically built into our nation. Like, it takes massive effort from the race anybody that's being racist, and the people who are being treated are the victims of the racism. Like, it's going to take massive effort on both sides, because there's going to have to be this moment where people will be able to accept that the race that was doing wrong for so long is going to try to do different. And I think that whenever I see the chief of police in Norfolk leading a protest down the road, to me, that is a huge sign that so many people have already made that change that I was trying to describe there. And I feel like there's a lot of things going in the right direction. But then you tell me about a story where, or not a story, but you bring light to the situation where there's a burning child and there's protesters who are blocking it. And it's like, man, I mean,
the child made it, obviously, but my thing is like, this is like, we're resorting
that's what's at stake.
to this.
Like a life could have been taken right then, right there.
Exactly.
Another
like,
one.
And an innocent life at that, you know. So like, I just don't know, you know, it's such a tough situation right now, man. But like, I just, you know, for me, like, this is really screwed up, you know. It really is. But the rioting stuff, for me, I don't know that I understand that part of it.
We had to close my store early the other day. They literally, like, my boss got a phone call, like, and said, hey, you're closing the store down in like 45 minutes. Like, barely a heads up to even close it down. And you know, my wife's a manager in the mall, and they're closing the mall down early every day. And there was she called me and she was talking to me about there being like a lot of people in the mall. Like, it seemed like a protest was gathering. And so she goes and finds police officers, and because she was alarmed that not only was there a large group of people, but there was already cops there. So it's like, obviously they're worried too. And so she goes and talks to one of the cops, and the cop's response is, well, we don't have any hard evidence, but we're here for a reason. And it's like, well, that's kind of scary. So it's like, so now it's like, not only is it something that's happening like in my city, but it's like, now it's something that's happening like at my wife's place of work. And that's terrifying, because I want people to have their voice, and I want people to have their place to protest and do things. But I also want it to stay as peaceful as it can, obviously. And for things like what you're talking about with the fireman and the kid in the building, like, for innocent bystanders to be in the way, like, it doesn't really matter which code of ethics you follow, whether like you're in the military or whether like you're in the mob or whatever. Like, there's a code where you don't fuck with innocent people. Yeah. Like, you just don't. Like, that's always part of the compass there. And it's scary to think whenever that's not part of the compass where things could go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really, like, I don't understand the, you know, the whole, like, let's smash all the buildings and stuff. You know, like, people are smashing in like small businesses in the city, you know, they're just like ravaging things, you know. Like, I saw a thing the other day where there was like I think it was in New York, maybe Dell knows. They were like running out of a Nike store just with like every piece of merchandise that they could get, you know, that their hands could physically go around. Like, why are we doing this? You know, like, why are we destroying the places where we, you know, like, where we reside at?
Well, I've seen some stuff about there being a lot of organized crime that is taking advantage of everything that's happening as well. Because the underneath all of this that's happening, there is still the people who make a living by being criminals and thieving and flipping product. And I mean, hell, it's something that I have to worry about all the time at my job, where I got to be conscious of whether or not I'm selling to a reseller, because there's people who just literally make a living on stealing and scamming and thieving and all that stuff. Yep. And so there is organized crime at a massive scale that is being a part of these riots and being a part of these lootings, that is amplifying it through the roof, because they want to get in there and steal as much product as they can, because it's go time for them. Like this is a free Black Friday in those instances. And that's where it's like, where it starts to get really crazy, is because like it's really hard to gauge and have a real handle on how many of the protesters are actually involved in the looting and the rioting, or are they two completely independent, separate groups of people? And obviously there's some overlap, but how much overlap is there really? Is it a little or is it a lot? Like, I don't think there's any way we can know for sure.
No, I don't. But I mean, it's definitely an interesting point, because I mean, like, I guess we don't think about that, like, on a daily, like, your normal life, like, your daily routine, like, that's not really a thought process.
Yeah.
Right? You know? So it's hard to, I mean, because we just don't know, right? Like, we don't know really 100%, but, it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Like, how scary is that?
It is terrifying, and it's terrifying because, like, it makes me wonder, like, to what extreme does it go on the looting side? Like where does it actually stop? Like, that's terrifying. And how does the government officially respond, and how far do they push back? Is also equally freaking terrifying to me, because not only am I worried about something happening like at my wife's place of business where she's forced to not go to work because of what's happening, or keep her job and her career. Like, not saying that it's at that level yet, but if it gets to that level, like, it's terrifying to think that you might be in that situation. And then you also, on the other side of it, you have the government who's militarizing against its own citizens. So I'm scared on how far do the rioters and the looters go, and then how hard are they met with resistance from the military? Like, because I don't think it would be that long before a U.S. citizen gets killed from a military rifle.
Right.
And then what? Then what's next after that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I was talking with Ash about it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's another Civil War type situation where it's Americans versus freaking Americans. Like,
yeah, World War III. Everybody's been talking about it for years.
Oh, it's terrifying, man. It's a scary ass place.
And the government, I think, is really overstepping their bounds, from what I understand. Like the government's just deploying. Like, I don't think he's even allowed to deploy the army. So, like, and he's just doing the things that he wants to do, and that's even scarier.
Yeah, because so there's a lot of people, regardless of whether or not you agree with Trump's views or him as a human being or any of that stuff, like, he has point blank expressed that he is not a gun shy kind of person, and that when he made that tweet about the looting and shooting, I was just like, oh my god, because he's talking about declaring martial law.
Yeah.
Which means, as part of martial law, a U.S. citizen being killed by the military would go unpunished. It would be an unpunishable casualty of war if that happened under martial law. And it goes back to what I was saying before about how, like, we have to, as a community, as citizens, we have to be so involved in how all these things work, because the media could very easily distract us with all these riots and all this looting to where he can go and declare martial law and nobody even realize what's actually happening. And now all of a sudden it can be legal for the government to not govern its people, but to hold them at gunpoint. And I know that's some like extreme level thinking, but it's if it's not in the main chapter, like it's in the fucking cliff notes, man, like it's a possibility.
Man, it's really crazy to think about. Like we have zero control, you know. Zero control.
But the looting and the rioting does get me fired up a little bit though, man, because like when I think about it, and it's like you think about how many awesome, amazing, good things are happening, and then you think about how much of it like shadows the real movement that's happening, like how much of the message is getting distracted and taken away from. Like I'm literally seeing the blackout Tuesday on basically every social media platform, but there was another viral post that came after that and said, hey, stop using the hashtags of Black Lives Matter and make the hashtag Blackout Tuesday, because all these people are uploading all these posts with these hashtags and it's pushing all of the actual Black Lives Matter movement content further down and out of the algorithm, basically.
Right.
And so to preserve the content that everybody needs to be seeing, that way it can be shared across the entire nation. Like it's so amazing how powerful that tool is. Like you can literally look up hashtag Black Lives Matter and be getting real in the moment content, because somebody just some random person can be out there filming something and tweet it, and because they use that hashtag, you can look up their posts in real time even though you have zero connection to them. So it's a system that people are using to stay current on the current news. And like I don't know, man, it's just freaking whenever it's enraging to think that there's so many people taking advantage of it. It's enraging to think there's no clear indication of where the boundary actually starts and where it actually stops. And it's terrifying because now it's so much bigger than just racism. Now we also have, like, now I'm concerned about all the racial things that I am wanting to support and wanting to help move forward. But now in the back of my mind, I'm also nervous about how the government responds to this and how that impacts all Americans, regardless of race, creed, color, religion, any of that type of stuff. Like, so now I'm getting concerned on all these sides. And I know whenever we were talking earlier, like you were sharing how you were a little bit frustrated with some of the looting things, because man, it's close to home for both of us. Like you had talked about how it's close, Richmond's close to me, but man, it's close for both of us. So I know it's got to be striking a couple chords with you too, like, because we're both right here so close to some of this.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, like I don't know if it was my upbringing, like, because I can't really point to a particular part of my life where I was like, I had made a decision, like there's things that are right and there's things that are wrong, you know what I mean? So like as far back as I can remember, like I can't understand this mentality. Like I can't understand what's happening right now. Like it really brings me to like a really bad place, because to me, like I don't see that, like I don't see it like this, for me it's like people are people, man. Let's treat them accordingly. Like, if you're an asshole, then I don't want to talk to you, right? Like it doesn't it don't matter who you are. Like, so like I just don't understand like how people are still into this, this frame of mind, and it's upsetting. It's really, really upsetting, because then, like you say, people are rioting now, and it's getting closer, and it is scarier for everybody, like everybody involved, not just the rioters. Like it's scary for every human being. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like, because they're not just targeting like these, like there was a lot of stuff that happened in the city where George was killed that was targeted. Like they targeted the police station, they targeted the AutoZone, the supply of the police station. But then nationwide, there's these riots and buildings being burnt down and local businesses being taken out, and I mean, hell, I was not that long ago just read an article where this man's entire life savings, like he had retired and took his life savings and I want to say it was his pension, and put it into a restaurant. And at first I'm like, holy cow, this is crazy. But it just dawned on me that if it was a pension, I wonder if they did that because it was a retired cop. But either way, it's still happening where it's innocent people who are like, it's not these big corporations. Like Target actually thoroughly impressed me. I don't know if you saw the statement that the CEO of Target put out, but their statement was fantastic. And it was a long one, so I don't really remember. But the message that I had received was Target said, hey, we get it. Everything in that store is replaceable. Human lives aren't. Do you? Target will fucking be okay. Yeah. Like that's basically what the message said. And I was like, damn, much respect, because your shit you just got hella looted, hella fucked over.
Yeah.
And your response wasn't to come back with anger. Your response was to understand that this is a moment where humanity and what we accept from each other as humankinds, as human beings that occupy the same fucking part of the earth.
Yeah.
We are changing what we accept and what we expect out of each other. And I think that's the fact that a massive corporation like Target, you don't see that all the time. A lot of times you see corporations, you think of just a big money hungry, fuck everybody's personal feelings and emotions and do what makes you money and all that kind of cliche stuff. And I thought it was a really big move for Target to do it. And, of course there might be, I'm not naive to the PR that goes into these things, and that a lot of things sometimes it can be, hey, let's do this because we know it makes us look good. But how long and how lengthy it was really made me feel like it was a sincere message. Like they went beyond the, hey, let's say what needs to be said piece, and they really drove their points home. So kudos to them. I don't know why I went on that Target rampage, but it was on my brain, so went ahead and leaked it out to you guys.
Yeah, that's interesting because I didn't. That's the first time that I'm hearing that. So like I'm just, I mean, that's obviously great to hear, from somebody like that. It's just it's still like it's just still a scary thing though. You know what I mean? Like I don't. It's like I'm so in the. I'm like right in the middle here because I don't like. I understand what you're saying. I really do, and but like, I mean, it doesn't. I don't know, man. Like going down and just torching down stuff is just not. That's not a good thing. Like it's not like I get it, but it's not helping anybody.
Yeah.
And so like you had mentioned earlier, like, okay, so now the whole COVID thing, okay, everybody's got to be, 6 feet apart. You can't go here, you can't go there, but there's, like, okay, but if you're a protester, it's okay. Like, because they're having these riots where people are going everywhere, and like, it's thousands of people or whatever the case may be, and they're just, so like this whole thing that they just told us about COVID-19, like don't leave your house, wear a mask, you can't do all this shit. Like it's, like think about it.
It was a big flex by the media, and anybody, like, I literally think of it like you're an excited dog. Society is like an excited dog, and we want to run around and play and have fun and live our best life. And whenever we start to go fuck with, your human stuff, and they yank that leash because we're sniffing the stuff they don't want us to start getting into, they yank that leash. That's what it was, man. It was a fucking a leash yank, man. We were getting too close to something for them, so they needed to distract us. And then, I mean, there was so much that was happening. Hell, even on the previous episode, we had that interview where Matthew McConaughey, was talking about all the stuff about the masks and not being political and supporting the masks. But then there's also scientists who are coming out and saying, like, no, you really shouldn't be wearing masks all the time. It's actually bad for you. Like, you're going to get carbon dioxide poisoning and all this extra stuff. Like, it's going to lower your immune system. And so it's like we got pushed into this mass hysteria, if you like, there's definitely some hysteria going on whenever you look at the people getting in fights over fucking toilet paper and paper towels. Like,
yeah,
I got excited that my wife was able to buy toilet paper the other day. She was like, hey, I got a surprise for you. And I was like, what is it? And then she was like, you'll see. And I go upstairs, you know, and I change after work and all that stuff. And I see a package of toilet paper. And I got excited about fucking toilet paper. So that's how crazy the media made us. And now it's, like you said, now it's on to this. And the part that's scary is that they're gonna have so much more coverage on the looting and the rioting, the stuff that'll piss people off, than they will any progress that's being made on the actual movement. And that's gonna be a designed tactic to distract us, because they don't want us to realize that there's a whole lot of people in this world who do not hate each other. There's a whole lot of people in this world who do not have those thoughts that run through their head where they judge people like that. Like, racism isn't, you're not born with it. It's not an intuitive thing. Like, you're taught it, and the media is never going to let us forget about racism. It's never going to let us forget who is supposed to be mad at who. Yeah. Because they need to have stuff to cover.
I mean, it's definitely different though, right? Like, and I think like a lot of people don't understand that, because like, you know, is when I'm growing up and like I'm trying to learn from my parents, you know what I mean? Like, if I get pulled over now, like if I get pulled over by the police now, I'm like scared that like I'm gonna get a ticket. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I was brought up. Like, I'm just, okay, I'm scared I'm gonna get a ticket. Like, that's the worst thing that's going through my mind at the time when I get pulled over by the police.
Yeah.
But if you're,
that's a really, really good point.
If you're black though, like, the worst thing that you have to think about is that I could die, like today. Like, I could die right now. Like, that's your thought process. Like, how sad is that we're in a place where that is even allowable? Like, you know, you're gonna get pulled over by the police, and I gotta be careful, because I could get shot. I could get beat up. I could get tossed in jail for no reason at all. Like, think about that. Like, when you get pulled over, do you worry about that? Like, you personally?
Not once ever. I mean, I've even had instances where, like, I knew for a fact, like, I was like reckless endangerment speeding, like where you're X amount of miles over the speed limit. Like, I'm just cruising, right? And like, I still don't. Those are still not thoughts that have had to go through my mind. And it was a very powerful realization for myself whenever I realized how much white privilege actually is involved in everything that we do on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. And I think the reason why I'm almost 30 and it's just now becoming this big realization is because the people who are not racist are too scared to talk about things. Like, people always talk about treat people fairly and don't judge a book by its cover and equality. Like, we all say those things and we all preach those things and we all teach those things, but there's not that many white people going around talking about, like, hey bro, like, the reality is that because you were white, even though you did not mean to, you have lived your entire life taking advantage of white privilege. It is not something that you have intentionally done to anybody. It is, you are just presented with circumstances that are different than everybody else's. And in order for you to have any way of changing it or impacting it, you have to be open-minded and empathetic enough to other human beings to understand problems that happened generationally before you. Yeah. And you have to be willing to accept responsibility for things that you personally didn't have a part to do with, but you're still accidentally carrying the torch. Yeah. Like, it's just so wild, man, because there's so much of it that you just, just like you're talking about, like if you get pulled over, man, like it's something like that. Like it's just, and I feel like cops is the easy analogy because of everything that just happened with George Floyd. But there's a lot of other stuff that happens just automatically that has nothing to do with it. Like this goes beyond just cops too. It's the way other people treat each other. I mean, hell, if you see somebody walking down the road at night, people get judged and have different reactions based on the color of the skin of the person that's walking down that road. Yeah. Before any words are ever exchanged or anything like that. And it goes to it's like, where do people forget the message that you were talking about earlier, where it's like you were raised to treat somebody based on what they do, not what they look like.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, I don't know, man. This is such it's crazy that these are the times that we're in, but a small part of me is like, whoa, what if I get to witness this massive movement and this massive change that is historically like going to be an improvement on mankind? Right. Or is this just the first chapter of a really brutal fucking war basically that we're about to go into?
Yeah.
I'm really nervous about the outcome because it can go to an extreme of either direction. But I feel like because of how extreme all the circumstances are, I feel like it's going to, by default, have an extreme outcome. So it's like, what is that outcome going to be? It's like, holy crap, bro.
Yeah, like you just don't know, right?
And I don't know that we can.
Like I got a couple more years on you, but like still, like I just don't. Like, I can't understand some people sometimes because, like, I just don't understand how you can be like that. And I think that's where I get really kind of bent out of shape about, because to me it's almost like breathing, right? Like it's common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, treat people good. You know what I mean? Like, everybody, until they give you a reason not to. You know?
Yeah.
Like, so it's, and like and even though like I feel like I understand that, like I get what you're saying, like no matter what I say, like there's no way I can completely understand it. Like I just can't. Like, as much as I want to say that I can, and believe me, in my heart of hearts, you know, like I do, but I don't know, like, because I didn't go through that. You know, like, you don't really know stuff unless you go through the shoes of you know, like it's that whole thing, like, you know, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. You know, like
100%.
We don't know, right? So I don't know. Like I feel like most people are like here. You know what I mean? Like in the center about all of this stuff that's going on, right? Like George Floyd's death was murder, like 100%. You know, the cops are responsible to be in jail, right? Like, that's one portion of it. And then there's another portions, like the police system is structurally corrupt, right? Like, we talked about that for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and regularly refuses
so like, think about this. Like, we didn't really
touch
on a lot of these details, but there is a civil lawsuit that is now filed against the police station.
Yeah.
For some reason, I keep wanting to say Minnesota, but
Minnesota,
it's Minneapolis, isn't it?
Or Minneapolis, yeah.
See, now I done messed up. Now my brain done got tired. But there is a civil lawsuit that is filed against that. They have also upped the charges from third-degree murder, which in my opinion was a low ball. Yeah. I think a lot of people will agree that they lowballed that charge. They bumped it from third-degree murder to second-degree murder, and now the other 3 police officers that were involved that they talked about in the video. You saw the one officer that was pushing the guy away, you know, fighting the crowd that was like trying to be like, bro, he's literally laying there unconscious and your knee is still on his fucking neck. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And he's pushing him away. Like, so all 4 of the officers are now being charged. So the main officer that had the knee on the neck is at second-degree murder, and the other 3 officers are being charged with accomplice to murder. So, like, there's a big stick that's now swinging at that police force. Yeah. It's just, as whether or not we can truly trust what the outcome is going to be, because it's like, are they out there throwing fake punches because they need to repair public image? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So anyways, I'll let you continue. I just wanted to drop that nugget while we were on the police, the corrupt police piece.
Well, and you talked about, looting, and I was, saying about the burning of businesses is immoral and it's counterproductive. Yeah. Like I'm totally there, right? Like I get everything else, but I feel like this part of it is counterproductive. But like I see the other side of it too, right? Like I see both sides of it. And then of course, there's mass protests everywhere. And so like I feel like you don't have to be to one of these quadrants, right? Like you don't have to be dead set. Like I feel like you can feel, like all of this stuff. Like all of this stuff is messed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like you would bounce around in between those categories based on what article or what piece of news media has come out recently that kind of pushes you, like, or you know what I mean? Because that's the way that it works, man. They know how to get into the psychology and the emotion of this, but then there's so much. When you take all the media coverage out of it, there's still so much absolutely justified rage that's out there because of the way people have been treated for so long. And it's like, yeah, man, I just hope that there's a way. Hopefully some of the words and anything that we have shared on this episode or will continue to be saying going forward really will help people get right there in the gray, man. Because I feel like if we help anybody see things through a different lens that is more accepting of other people and more understanding and helps people get right in the middle of that scenario, I feel like is a win. It's a positive thing, right?
Yeah, no, I 100 agree. And like I was gonna do this whole thing, where I'm gonna drop down the Jake Jack thing, like I'm thinking about this, prior to the show, and like now I'm in the show and I'm like, well, like I don't where I'm at is in such a bad place. Like I don't even really want to do that part of it because I feel like it diminishes what the real issue is here. But I still want to read to you my thoughts and give you my thoughts on the situation. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it in a different way. Obviously, like I had thought about earlier how I wanted to present it, but like when you're going through everything here, like you just start feeling a certain kind of way, with what you want to do, and I just I'd rather just tell you, what I was gonna say instead of go off like I was going to, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, I'm on board with it. Let me in chat know what you're thinking, bro.
I'm just saying, like, to all the rioters right now, all over the United States, like, I'm not against everyone taking a stand, and protesting. Everyone has the right to be angry and upset at the Minnesota police officers who killed George Floyd. I'm angry at the situation. I'm angry at the fact that we still have cowboy police officers who think that they're above the law. And I'm not saying all police officers are bad, but there's way too many of them that don't follow the law that they swore to uphold. And everyone, I mean everyone, white, black, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, Asian, whoever, absolutely have the right to demand that there be punishment for the officers who are involved in this travesty. And I think people also have the right to a peaceful protest, for this. I mean, it's a catastrophic injustice. But folks, I think in no way have the right to destroy the cities that we live in, and think that there's not going to be any consequences for their actions. And folks don't have the right to put people out of jobs, as they burn down and destroy the places where they work. And people people in no way have the right to assault police officers for who's trying to protect them from people that are protesting against them. And people have in no way the right to beat small business owners to near death who are just trying to protect their businesses. You know what I mean? And not to mention, we don't have the right to use a wrongful death as an excuse to justify criminal actions, and then have the audacity to turn around and use some type of perplexing thought process to try to blame people or destroy these communities, you know, with all this mayhem that's going on. I mean, the rioters themselves, like, I understand what you were saying before, but like the rioters themselves, I mean, they're making the decision to go in and destroy these communities, you know, that we all live in. And I mean, like, for me, like, I get it, but this shit has got to stop. And I'm going to call anybody else out that has this fucked up way of thinking. Like, it's just hateful. And then, like, it causes more hate. You know, and it's disgraceful, and it's disrespectful, it's hypocritical. Like, so just please stop destroying shit. Like, this was totally... This went a little bit differently than I thought it was going to go when I initially thought about this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that, man, I agree with everything you said, really. I understand the reasons for the protests and the reasons for needing to be assertive in the movement, but the looting and innocent people getting involved and getting hurt and having lives and businesses ruined and destroyed is I feel like only going to add fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
And I think that my biggest thing here is, I guess I'd have to say, is that it's just not enough to be not a racist. We have to be anti-racist.
Right.
And if I had to pick, that's the biggest thing that I've learned from all this is, you know, I have taken pride living my life in a way to where I've never done anything, like I never felt like I was doing anything racist.
Yeah.
And I've now had my eyes open to a lot of unintentional things that I have done that had racist bias involved in it. And it's like, just because you didn't have a racist intention doesn't mean that something isn't racist.
Right.
And just like you can't always count on your partner or your best friend or your spouse to tell you if you're the one that's messing up, because, you know, like, a lot of times people would like to be like, oh, well, you just got to tell me that I'm being that way. And it's like, no, bro, it's not the person who you're upsetting's responsibility to tell you that. It's your responsibility to recognize that you're upsetting, that you're the one doing the action that is putting them in that state. And it's like,
right.
To me, it's that same thing. Like, it's not always going to be somebody else's responsibility to tell us that we're doing something that has a racist tone to it or anything like that. Like, we're gonna have to be willing to educate ourselves and willing to learn and willing to have the hard conversations with people to understand ourselves better, to understand them better, to understand the way that all the things that we do in the normalcies of society. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be different if racism is going to be gone. Like, if there was an easy button that we could hit that would automatically eliminate, delete, and make it to where you could never say anything that had a racist tone to it, whether it was an intentional or not. Like, if you could delete anything, you could not say anything that was racist. There would be a lot of stuff that could not be said and could not be spoken today. There would be a lot of shows that couldn't be on TV. There'd be a lot of businesses whose business model would be completely fucking different. Like, there would be a whole lot of shit in the world that people don't, I don't think that a lot of white people understand how woven racism is into society as a whole, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm going down another rabbit hole there, brother. I think it might be time for us to have some giggles and some laughs, man. It's been dark. And that video right out of the gate, like, man, I'm not gonna lie, like, it sucked me in, and it really just turned my soul over, man. Like, it made me feel, it puts you in such a dark, sad, angry state of mind to think that's 2020. That's right now. That's not in a history book. That's not some shit that happened 20 years ago. Like, people are getting shot in the face right now with rubber bullets at a fucking protest.
Yeah.
The police are stacking bricks up on pallets outside of protests. Like, Holy shit, man. It doesn't matter how long we talk about it. I'm just going to keep getting fired up.
No, like I just feel like even though the show has not been like it's not supposed to be like this at all. You know, like their first 2 episodes are when you're talking about aliens and, you know, microdosing and crazy, like just off the wall shit, you know. But the thing is like it's one of those times where this particular thing had to be said, like on any platform, that we have access to. It needs to be addressed so that people understand, like, that this shit is not okay. You know?
I agree.
So, but it had to be said. So I think, you know, let's get back to some. Let's take a real quick break here. You know what I mean? And then we'll come back in with some other stuff. So we'll be back in a few minutes, guys.
You're listening to the You've Been Warned show with Jake, J-Stacks Lawson, and Josh, Drop Tech Setterfield.
If you've been dreaming of having the best food for you and your family, now's your chance. Introducing East Coast Prime. Whether you're craving our double colossal red Alaskan crab legs, our black African lobster tail, or our Wagyu beef, you'll fall in love with our food from the moment you taste it. Mouth-watering burgers, prime center-cut filet, wild-caught salmon, prime-cut New York strip and ribeye. We also have chicken, lamb, and pork. At East Coast Prime, we only sell the best of the best products, and we sell it for less than our competition. The best part is, we'll bring it to you. Free delivery right to your door, or you can order from our website and we'll ship it to you. We have packages for everyone, and if we don't, we'll make you a custom package to fit your needs. Isn't it time that your family eats like kings and queens? Call us at 570-903-4095 or check us out on the web at eastcoast-prime.com.
This buds for the Blues, the Reds, and the Warriors. This buds for the Magic, the Athletics, the Giants, and the Jazz. This buds for the Trailblazers, the Braves, the Yankees, and the Angels. This buds for the home team.
If you're in the Richmond area and you need Q repair, head on over to Raymond's Pro Shop. 804-301-3666 inside Diamond Billiards in Richmond. All right, man.
What's this?
Well, so let's get back. Let's get into some lighter talk now. I think is good. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this would be fantastic, man. We're gonna talk about some of these crazy big pharma drug names, as you guys see up here on the screen. It's I know you guys have all seen these crazy whack ass commercials where they're like, "Hey, do you like the color red? Well, you should take this medication that has the side effect of chronic diarrhea, hair loss, constant vomiting, loss of toenails, and your skin eventually melts off. But it will increase how much you love the color red. So buy it right now." Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like the side effects are 100 times worse than what it is you're actually taking the medication for. It's like, bro, like, I don't want to have to worry about shit in my pants. Like, I like, what? My arm was itchy. Like, that's it, bro.
My arm was itchy. My arm was itchy.
I don't need my ass to be itchy just because my arm was itchy.
My arm was itchy, but I also didn't want my face to melt off from the side effects. Like, it's such a tough choice, you know.
Some of these drugs make it a clear decision.
Yeah, this is one of yours. 9 out of 10 doctors on our payroll recommend this product.
The pharmaceutical industry.
Like, how funny is that?
I like the look around the dude's eyeballs. Like, he's been popping a few of them things himself.
He's been popping a few.
You see that?
He's popping some too. Wow. This one's terrible. This is absolutely terrible. Here's your opioids. See you next week and next week and next week and next week. Like, I mean, it's funny, but it's fucked up because, like, I know
It's got some truth.
There's some truth to that, right? Fuck.
There's a lot of conspiracy going around with all the COVID-19 stuff about how much big pharma may or may not have played a role in this, because if you can get the entire world scared of a pandemic and then create the cure and you make the vaccine the same way you make the flu vaccine, because it's a very flu-like drug where it's seasonal. Like, if they can make the vaccine seasonal, they're securing billions and billions and billions of dollars forever.
Yeah.
If they can do that. You know what I mean? So, big pharma. Can't really trust them.
Yeah, you can't trust them. Jesus. So, like you were talking earlier about the side effects to some of the drugs, like your arm falls off, but then you don't have to itch anymore. So, I mean, look at some of these side effects. Anxiety, like, you'll get, like, I'm trying to find stuff that keeps me from getting anxiety. I don't want to take another drug that one of the side effects could be I'm going to get anxiety. You know what I mean?
Fucking Parkinson's?
Yeah, right? Look at that.
Parkinson. What? Very common. It's a very common side effect.
I mean, 10% sounds like a low number, but you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's absolutely humongous. 10% is that this could happen.
I mean, hey, man, they're just creating residual income, because they're saying, hey, we're going to take 10% of the people who take this drug, and then we're going to make them need another drug, and we're going to sell them that shit too. These crazy motherfuckers. Whoops! Beep that one out.
Beep. You definitely gonna have to beep that out. When we Ginsu chop it up later, we'll cut that. We'll beep that right out. What? But do you know what? Shit. So like, do you know what drug this is that has these side effects?
See, weight gain, anxiety, agitation, dizziness, relentlessness, vomiting, fatigue, back pain, excessive saliva. So it makes your back hurt, you're tired, you fucking puke all over yourself, and you're just drooling everywhere right after your vomit.
Yeah. What do you
think?
Oh
my God. Stroke, seizure. Dude, please tell me this isn't like some shit that I would have ever taken.
It'd be like you're on Tylenol right now and you didn't even know. Like all this shit could be happening to you.
I'm gonna guess that this drug ends in Pam, like clozapam, like it's a something Pam.
Okay. Like how did you?
I don't know why that came to me.
How did you come to that conclusion?
I have.
Like, do you have extensive knowledge in drugs that end in Pam? Like,
I heard from a wise man that you never reveal your sources. So it's classified information.
It's classified. It's, believe it or not, it's a drug called Latuda. Like, I don't care if you watch. So if you watch TV at all, like even like when they show like when I'm watching the like the Netflix or something like that, like I always hear these days that they're talking about Latuda. First of all, can I just say that the name is absolute, like Big Pharma came up with this name and they're like, we're going to call it Latuda. Like, you know what I mean? Like it sounds like I just Latuded. Like that's, how did they miss that? How did they miss that? To me, it
sounds like the sounds that people would make like when they're like sounding out a song or something, like la do da la do da 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 la do da. Like that's what it sounds like to me.
But like you wouldn't use it for like a major medicine that you're gonna give to somebody, right? Like you wouldn't use that name. Like that's not the first thing that comes to your mind. And you're like, this is a great name.
I am impressed at how few letters are in this name, though. Like, a lot of drugs have like 27 letters, and this is just a handful.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, man.
So, what is this actually supposed to cure? So, I saw the side effects, but what is it supposed to do?
So, it's to treat bipolar depression in adults, children, and teens. Like how, you know what I mean? Like how crazy is that? Like, so it's got all those terrible side effects. It's got a jacked up name. You know what I mean? And they use this to treat depression in kids, man, and teens. Like that's scary.
It's interesting how it says was effective for many people struggling. Like,
well, you gotta put that.
They didn't give you like a 3 out of 10 people, 7 out of 10 people, like many people. It's kind of vague.
You have to put that.
Just try this shit out, bro. Just try it.
You can't put that your arm may fall off and then expect that people are going to buy
it. See, I know you currently have bipolarism, but how would you like to shit your pants, drool on yourself, and have hand tremors? Like, what? I don't know, man.
Wow.
I don't know how I'm feeling about this drug right now.
What about this drug?
How many people are out there slobbering on themselves trying not to be bipolar? My God. And look, bro, you only need 50 milligrams. Is that the pharmaceutical version of just the
tip? It's taken orally, of course. You know. Oh God.
My cock, oh my shit.
That's not a real drug, by the way. Just in case you were wondering. Yeah. This is one of my favorites.
That would be such a prescription right there, bro.
This would be one of my favorites right here.
My God, I'm crying. Fuck it all. Oh shit, I've seen one of these.
I've seen one of these.
Oh. Look, see the difference? My cock, 50 milligrams. Fuck it all, 500. You gotta have 500 milligrams of fuck it all before you can handle 50 milligrams of my cock.
Oh man, that's nuts. Like I was like this could be you. You know, like depressed, problems with your boss, overworked, are you having family troubles? Like I feel like this, you know, like this could be something that you could be prescribed possibly.
Look at that tagline at the bottom. It's covered up a little bit, but a capsule a day to make your troubles go away. Oh shit.
How terrible is that? So like obviously both of those were not real drugs.
Holy shit, that was hilarious.
We understand that, right?
Oh yes, fully aware.
Oh my God. So like there's some other drugs that have like some weird side effects.
Ciprofloxacin.
Man, so that's what you're going with?
Ciprofloxacin. Ciproxin. What do you mean? What am I going? No. Look at the parentheses. The longer one.
I just want to know how you arrived at that.
Ciproflo.
Like, so you know you've heard of
that's it.
You've heard of Cipro before, right?
No, not really. It's the
you never heard of Cipro. You never heard of Cipro when there was a big when there was the big scare with anthrax. Like that was that's what they gave you. Like to make sure that they gave you it was called Cipro, but like the right name of it is like whatever, ciprofloxacin. I can't. First of all, like I looked at these to try to pronounce some of them, and I'm just telling you right now, like I'm terrible at it too. Like I even tried to learn to listen to see how they were pronounced, but it's tough, bro. So you were talking about getting tremors earlier. This drug could give you tremors.
This one, the Cipro.
Yeah, the Cipro. So like you get healed from anthrax, but there's possible you could have your tendons ruptured.
You know, never heard of that as a side effect before.
How crazy is that? Oh my God!
Like, hey, babe, I know you ain't trying to get sick and die, but do you really need them kneecaps? Like,
that's terrible, man. This of course is your favorite one.
Oh, our new sponsor. Hey,
Viagra. I mean, it's all the young kids are taking it, right? Like, that's like, is that the rage? I don't know. I'm old and I still don't take it, but like, do kids take it?
I don't know, man. I grew up on the old Smiling Bob commercials. What was that shit? Extends. You remember the Smiling Bob commercials? Yeah. Like it would always be this corny commercial with that nerdy white guy, and he's just like super cheesing, and the commercial's like, yeah, he's smiling because he has a big dick.
Yeah, but those guys got in
commercial.
Those guys got in trouble though.
Did they?
Yeah, like that company got in serious trouble.
Yeah, cause they got fucking sued because they didn't actually make your dick bigger, right?
Yeah, like they got like the whole thing was just fake, man. And they're like we thought we could say whatever we want. Like we just thought we could say it.
That's their response.
And they're like, no, you did it on TV. Like you can't say that.
Like, I thought it should be cool, bro. Like, whatever.
Oh my god, dude! But if you take Viagra, it could actually have you seeing spots. You know what I mean? Like have blurred, distorted vision. Like it's crazy.
That wouldn't surprise me because if your blood's moving to the other head, there's not enough blood to run the one up top.
I mean, I just didn't. I don't know, man. This drug, you've heard of this one, right? Prozac. Aren't you on it right now?
You would think so.
I mean, this stuff can give you cause birth defects. Like, there's a lot of people that are on.
No,
Prozac.
that's like some super scary shit with birth defects.
Yeah.
Are we talking like is this how Spider-Man's made, or is it like your baby comes out with no legs like a potato?
I don't know, man. I have no idea. It's crazy.
I don't know either. I mean, birth defects. It's.
I mean, how do you weigh that as an option?
I guess you just ain't having sex if that's the medication you on.
I don't know, man. Like, I think a lot of these are so weird. Like, I just can't even make out their. Well, obviously, you've heard of Prilosec.
Yeah. Prilosec OTC or whatever.
Yeah,
the fuck
right.
That
So like that's in like.
Oh yeah, there it is. That's it. Yeah.
It's ingrained into your brain. Like what it is. But it's
great marketing.
Yeah, but it's got terrible side effects too. Like all of this stuff really does. Like even Chantix. So like you had told me a story about
the
quitting
stop smoking shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this shit makes people commit suicide.
Yeah. Like
that's some crazy shit.
That was a big thing, right?
Definitely was. I actually know, like, my mom was telling me a story about people that she knows. I won't go any further, obviously, because we're on Facebook and people might actually be connected, that Chantix actually caused her friends to divorce.
Really?
Because it drove one person so far into depression that they not only became suicidal, but became like too accepting of people dying, and we're talking about like doing like a group suicide with like them and their partner, and like, hey, if we can't make it work in this life, maybe we can make it work in the next life. And yeah, like it was some crazy weird shit. And it was all they stopped. He stopped taking Chantix, and then everything went back to normal, like in a matter of weeks.
Really?
Swear to God. Afrin, this shit'll fucking dissolve your nose, bro.
Yeah, like you can get super addicted to it.
I actually dated a girl who was addicted to this. And when I say addicted to it, I mean like just like how people are chain smokers who buy packs of cigarettes every day.
Yeah.
She would have to buy like a bottle of this like every other day.
Yeah, but like they don't
Not kidding.
like they don't tell you like this shit is terrible for you. I can't even pronounce this. I can't even pronounce his name. Like I could earlier, but I can't now.
Zlometazolene. Xylometazoline.
I mean, I think that's...
You know what I mean? You need some xylometazoline. Let's get it. One symptom at a time.
That may be close.
Close. I'm pretty sure I just nailed it. That was fucking scientific.
Like, I can't remember, but it's bad for you too. Like, all this stuff is terrible for you.
Well, it rhymes with gasoline. You know what I mean? It's xylometazoline.
It rhymes with gasoline.
And it'll kill your spleen.
Wow. This drug, warfarin, okay? This drug has been around longer than the U.S. Adopted Names Council, which approves generic names for drugs. That's how long this drug's been around. Still now. Like, and it's...
The box looks like it.
It was used as rat poison for years. For years, dude, and
But
it's still
now,
around.
What's it used for now? Or is it still rat poison?
They use it for breaking up blood clots. But they used it as rat poisoning. Like, how? Come on, man. There's like a lot of stuff that you just don't, like, you just don't know what the hell is going on.
So this is what happened. So there was this guy who was like, you know what? Fuck Johnny. I think I'm just going to take him out, bro. I think I'm just going to give him some rat poison. And you know what? I don't even feel that bad about it because he's got those blood clots, you know. So he's going to go one way or another. You can tell just by looking at him. But you know what? I need justice. I got to take this into my own hands. I'm giving him the rat poison. He gives him the rat poison. And then he ends up curing the man because the rat poison dissolved the blood clots and the man survived. And then the guy was like, holy shit, I thought I had killed you. Turns out I saved your life. Is that how we ended up with that drug you just showed me?
I think so.
Like, how the fuck else do you get from rat poison to, actually, you know what? This shit could be helpful.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's a ton of stuff here. Like, you know, like, that you should just look up in total. Like, what are some of the craziest drugs out there and their side effects?
Seeds?
Yeah, moxifloxin.
As soon as you said it, I recognized it. I just didn't recognize it in writing.
Yeah, like, I've heard of it before, but, like, I don't know. Like, I think it has something to do with, like, aspirin or something. But there's definitely some bad side effects to that, and they just don't tell you, you know, exactly what they are. But it's like they come up with these crazy-ass names. Like, how are you supposed to know? Like, how is the normal human being supposed to know all this stuff? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're just like, hey, let's just tell them what we need to tell them to get them to take it. You know, and there's some drugs that are literally designed to not cure. They're just there to treat the symptom and prolong it. That way you need the medication. Like, it's such a crazy fucking hamster loop. And it's like, there's no way that society as a whole could become educated enough to not be manipulated by big pharma because of the way that education systems are set up. Yeah. Like, if there was free education, like free colleges, however the fuck we end up making that work, I don't have the answers. But if that was the case, then people would be there would be so many people who are educated in all these different crazy industries that control the markets like this, to where we could overthrow big pharma.
I mean, knowledge.
But people need to be
is
educated.
Power, for sure. Everybody needs to be educated. This one, like, I just like, because if you read, like, the top drug, like, that's the, I don't know, like, whatever the parent company is, but, like, the bottom name is the drug name, and, like, it looks like Anakin Skywalker. Like, it reminds me of Star Wars. Like, who came up with this? Anakinra. Like, have you even heard of that?
Anakinra.
Anakinra.
Fuck no, I have not heard of this.
Like,
Pre-filled glass syringe?
Yeah.
Ooh.
They use it for rheumatoid arthritis. Like, that's what the drug is used for. But, like, I mean, seriously.
Ouch. So you'd have to, like, fucking inject it wherever you have it?
But they could have come up with a better name. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the name is pretty... Like, how do they... Like, what group of people do they hire that, like, all sit in a room and they're like, okay, that sound... Like, there's more than one person that said, like, these drug names are good to go. You know what I mean?
No, you know what? There actually is. So I don't know if it's mandatory that it's like this or if it's just what they do. But there is, like, if you understand what the drugs do, you can see that it's just a hodgepodge of what the drugs are made of that creates the name.
Yeah.
So like you can look it up to where, like, it'll break it down for you, where it's like these 3 letters are because it has this compound in it, and then these 3 letters are because it has that compound, and then these 2 letters are for this compound, and then they just take all that shit and then they make a word out of it. That's why it's so fucking weird and random a lot of the times.
Man, that's crazy.
Bet you didn't know that, did you?
Oh my God, man. Well, I think we should get into stupid news.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about that?
I think stupid news is going to be
just when you thought you couldn't get any dumber in the world. It's time for stupid news.
I love that. I love just hearing that guy say that, because then I just instantly think of all the stupid things that I see, and now all the times that I want to tell somebody they're being stupid, but I like having a job, so I don't.
I like having a job, so I just don't. I don't say nothing.
What are you showing me right now? Is this
Can you even tell what it is?
No, it kind of looks like a koala and a teddy bear.
A koala and a teddy bear. Holy shit. I mean, the picture's not great, so I'm not knocking you for not giving it, like, your best effort. I mean, a teddy bear. Like a koala got a teddy bear. Dude, when you hear what this is, you're going to go crazy. It's a monkey that stole a coronavirus patient's blood samples from a lab tech in India. And he's seen in the tree eating it. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm so perplexed right now.
How are you
were they
perplexed?
just, like, fucking having the windows open? Like, how does that... Like, I just envision, like, a scene from Family Guy, and the doctor's just like, I hope nobody steals his blood sample. And then he opens the fucking window and sets the blood sample right there on the windowsill and turns around and is walking away, and his monkey's like, ha, 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 motherfucker. Like, what?
Bleep. I feel like that's... But I feel like... I don't know, man. Like, that seems pretty possible. Like, that scenario that you described is, like, almost dead set in my mind how I see it. Like, they just have blood packets on open windows, and monkeys are running by just grabbing, and they're like, whoop, thank you. And then the dude's...
Or is it just normal for the monkeys to be in the hospital?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know the particular... like, part where it came from, but man, it's like that shit is crazy.
I wonder if this is something we need to worry about. Like, what if the coronavirus gets into, like, the chimpanzee community, and then all of a sudden we have these rampant
It'll be Planet of the Apes, dude. Have you seen Planet of the Apes?
Bro. I have, and I'm going to be furious that India did not keep the window closed if that's what this turns into.
Caesar's going to be running your ass, dude. Caesar is going to be running that ass. Oh, this is crazy.
Crazy times, man. It's
Oh.
crazy times.
This one's great.
So, feet.
Yeah, obviously you probably can't guess it from this particular picture, but this has got to be probably like one of the stupidest news pieces. I mean maybe for some people it's cool.
Well, I don't think that anybody knows what the hell we're looking at yet.
Really?
It's just a picture of feet.
No, I changed the pictures. Changed. Look at it now.
Oh, love honey.
This is actual news.
Caesar.
This is actually news. They had they had like a big, huge Memorial Day sale on adult toys. In well timed for social media distancing. Like this was an actual news piece that ran that I guess somebody got a kickback from. And so like they were.
So is this why you showed me the picture of feet? Was that was supposed to be like the foreplay for the fucking sex toys?
Yeah, get a little sexy.
Oh my
first.
goodness!
You know, get a little sexy to see if you could get there. Like, how the hell is that news? Dude, this is great. So, first of all, you're old enough to know who this is.
Yeah.
He said, yeah. This is going to really...
It's my best bud Elmo right there, bro. Made it to the big leagues. You don't you see him in his nice suit right there, man?
Have you heard about this?
Fucking daily cup of coffee.
Have you heard about this?
No, I don't know what Elmo is being trialed for right now.
He's not on trial. He's not on trial, man, but he is in a suit. He's got a show on HBO now. Yeah, talk show. They gave Elmo a talk show.
We gotta see it.
Listen to this, dude.
HBO's new streaming service, HBO Max, made history this week, presenting the very first late-night style talk show hosted by a 3.5-year-old monster. The Not Too Late Show with Elmo features Sesame Street's red, furry star trading jokes with Jimmy Fallon and singing with Lil Nas X. NPR TV critic Eric Dagans asked Elmo how he pulled it all off.
For a young monster, Elmo's made some pretty famous friends, and it turns out they helped him decide to create his own talk show.
Elmo's good friends with Mr. Jimmy Fallon, so Elmo's done Mr. Jimmy's show, and Elmo has done Mr. Stephen Colbert's show, so Elmo knows a little bit about talk shows, and Elmo just thought, boy, those people look really good in suits, so Elmo wanted to try that.
And now, everybody's favorite 3.5-year-old red monster. Put your paws, claws, and hands together.
Elmo not only wears a suit, but has a studio audience, a backing band, and a monologue.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow? Who?
Yeah, it's the kind of show where a cow can pop up anytime. Cookie Monster says he asked Elmo if he could be the show's announcer when he heard all their friends from Sesame Street would be involved.
Rosita was stage manager.
You from the wrong
Abby
block,
was
dog.
writing. It was like a well-oiled machine. Bert and Grover directing. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, there was that time when Ernie let a bunch of chickens take over the show's control room.
Why are there chickens running everything?
Well, you said you wanted someone who would work for Chicken Feed.
Is that the bad thing?
Cookie kind of likes it when things don't go entirely according to plan.
We just embrace it. The more chaos, the better.
The show has had the Jonas Brothers singing about brushing your teeth and Casey Musgraves singing a lullaby familiar to Sesame Street fans.
Robert Ducky, joy of joys. When I squeeze you, you make noise.
Elmo says the goal is to learn a bedtime routine.
Sometimes Elmo doesn't want to go to bed, but then, if you do the routine and you do it with your mommy and daddy, sometimes it can be fun. So we learn about putting on our pajamas, brushing our teeth, combing her fur.
Ben Lehman, an executive producer of the Not Too Late show for Sesame Workshop, says they had been considering an Elmo talk show for a while. They filmed the first episode a year and a half ago, intended for HBO, which now airs new episodes of Sesame Street months before they go to PBS.
We, of course, thought, like, well, what is something that would be beneficial to fans?
I mean, like, first of all, dude, they gave Elmo a real talk show. What the hell kind of world? And don't tell me that you're going to watch it.
No, what I was actually really hoping was about to happen was they were going to have made a play on nostalgia and make Elmo run a talk show, but let Elmo run a late night talk show. That way it's like it's still Elmo voice, but Elmo is like having adult conversations with people, and it would be funny as shit. But then it was like, no, it's literally like 3-year-old Elmo. Like I'm so confused. And I'm also confused about what the hell we're looking at right now.
Well, I just felt like within the theme of stupid news. Because, like, let's be honest, some of this shit was crazy. Like, Father's Day is, like, just right around the corner. It's, like, the end of June.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, what's stupider than the weirdest gifts that your dad would probably want, and you absolutely don't like plan on giving it to him? Like, it's like a little... It's like to help you shop for your dad, right? Because, like, dads always get shitty gifts, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I just imagine, like, all right, it's Father's Day, you get a tie. Like if you're
you get the sweet socks or that new leather wallet.
So I just thought, like, okay, it would be cool maybe if we give you some ideas of some different shit that's out there that your dad could possibly want.
This guy doesn't look like he was ready for this photo shoot. Like he didn't he was not prepared to be a mermaid that day.
First of all, like, how do you not be prepared if he's in a merman costume? Like, the definition is you had to prepare yourself to get in that costume because that was something that you wanted to do.
Look how hairy his left arm is. They definitely shaved his back right before this picture.
Yeah, dude, this whole thing was prep. Like, this dude actually wanted to be... So, like, there must be guys out there. Like, there must be dads, I don't know, and maybe a thing it was, like, in the 40s and 50s that want, like...
Wait, so this guy was in the news for this?
Yeah.
Or it was in the news because they were trying to sell mermaid tails?
Yeah, it was in the news because they were trying to sell mermaid tails. So, like, this is another, like news station
on this
that's
week's
getting...
episode of Tales from Below.
Yeah, they're getting kickbacks again, probably. Just to show the absolute craziest shit you've ever seen. In case you were wondering what you need to get, like, you could possibly get this for your father on Father's Day. These are Vulcan earbuds. Come on, like,
They kind of look like cat.
You're a game nerd, dude. Do you like Star Trek and Star Wars?
Cat ears. Bro. All right, if you buy those for me, I will wear them for the next episode.
Oh my god, then I'm definitely going to do that. Like, this is just like...
I'll wear them on stream while I'm gaming.
Yeah, but would you think that they were even available? Like, it's something that you could get? Like, some of the shit that they have is, like, it's absolutely crazy, dude. Like, you can buy
This is like a...
This is a pot for your pot. You can buy a pot.
A bulb, yeah, a pot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a special.
That's familiar.
Special pot. Like, I don't know how any different it is from any other pot, but, like, you could get this if your parents smoke pot.
It's a special pot. I actually don't know any single characteristic that makes it special in any way, shape, or form, but it is special.
Did you ever watch Star Trek?
I was not a Trekkie.
You were not, but you were aware of it, right?
I am. Yes.
So, like, to me, growing up, there was always, like, to me, it seemed like there was always two groups. There was, like, people that were Trekkies, right? And then there was people that were, like, Star Wars. Like, when I grew up, I always felt like those were the two, that's how people were separated. You know what I mean?
Wait, isn't there another one? Isn't there another one that's not Star Wars? It's like Star Trek and, because it was like whichever one you do doing.
That's Star Trek, dude.
You know what I'm talking? Yeah, but there's another one that's not Star Wars. It's like they're like opposites. So, bro, I'm about to type it. I'm about to figure it out right now. Star Trek versus Stargate.
Yeah, but Stargate was I remember Stargate. But like
I watched Stargate. Yo, I fucked with some Stargate. I was a Stargate Battlestar Galactica fan, bro.
Well, I feel like it's kind of
like going through
generation.
Teleporters and shit. It was like it was like an off-brand extra shit. But it was dope whenever I was little and I had nothing else to watch.
Well, I was never. I don't know why this piece makes me think of it. Like I knew of Star Trek, but I was never, and I did watch episodes, but like I wasn't like a huge fan of it. I always felt like I was more towards the Star Wars. Like I figured like that's how the future would be. Like you're flying a ship around and you got to like bang on it to get it to work. Like I always just kind of felt like that's how the future was, not like like Star Trek portrayed it too. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but like if your dad likes it, fuck, you can get him it. Little fucking Jean-Luc Picard sculpture for Father's Day.
What the fuck is this?
Dude, have you ever heard of the toy Stretch Armstrong? So like this was a toy like back in that was real popular in the 70s. It was called Stretch Armstrong. It was like this thing and you could stretch him out as long as you possibly could. Well, they came out with a stretchy Donald Trump doll. So like you could get this for your father.
I love that his tie is on the outside of his jacket.
Like how crazy is that, dude? You can get stretched Trump. This is a good one. Are you a fan of beef jerky? It's a beef jerky bouquet. Yeah. You could get your dad a beef
jerky flowers?
I mean, but they're not really flowers. It's all made out of beef jerky.
Those are dope.
That's a cool gift, right? Like you could get that. That could be one of the things. Like I would have never even thought to do like a bouquet.
Look, he's got a 6-pack too.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean,
6-pack and some jerky.
This one's fat. You don't.
I guess I could go either way.
You don't remember Joe Namath, do you? That was like way before your time. He was a quarterback. He was a quarterback for the New York Jets, and he was like super, super popular.
What year?
Man, this is back probably like in the 70s, I think. I don't remember the exact.
You just asked me if I remembered him.
Well, I mean, just because you weren't there, like you could have heard of him. You know what I mean? Like it's somebody in your 32 years could have mentioned Joe Namath to you once, and you'd have been like, oh, that's cool. That's who that guy is. But you never
I wish that somebody would have, and then I wish my brain would have been able to connect the dots to that very random moment in life so I could pull it forth into this conversation right now.
Like I feel like knowing who Joe Namath is common knowledge. You know what I mean? It's like knowing who the president is.
I guess I'm not that common then. Did you just call me unique?
No, I would never say that about you.
This shit looks unique.
This is like right up your alley. Make sure you have this for me in October when I come down. I want the unicorn.
Can you walk it up and it walk the taco to you?
Come on, man. You're asking for a lot.
I mean, innovation, man. You should get on there.
He's gonna walk to you shaking on his feet while all your tomato and lettuce and cheese come out of the top. Like, it's a good thought, but man, there's no way. But if you like as a holder, you could get this thing for your pops. Like, I don't know what pops is gonna admit that he wants a unicorn taco holder for Father's Day. But
the unicorn taco holder sounds like a really bad sex metaphor.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, don't get that. Whatever you do, do not get the unicorn taco holder. That's crazy. I feel like this is one that you would rock. You know what I mean? Like, this is actually kind of cool. Like, if you're a dad, you could get a tuxedo onesie.
That could be dope.
What I mean? Like, I'm sure there's a father that would rock that. You know what I mean?
Look, it even has zippers on the pockets. Like, that thing's meant to do business, bro.
I mean, like, that's cool, right? Like, you could definitely rock a tuxedo onesie, right? Like, you would do that. That's something that you would do, right?
To like a Halloween party, yeah. On
you
the
wouldn't do
regular,
it.
just because I thought it was fly. No.
So you wouldn't do that just on the fly.
Oh, fuck. No, I love how it has the hood too, man. Oh, the hood is fantastic.
Do you remember? Do you remember this little gem?
Yeah, man. See, I should have went the other direction. I went too casual. See, if we would have been thinking more formal, like a tuxedo, maybe this would have been more of a hit product.
Oh my god. Like, so when you said that you never have just put a onesie on because you thought it was cool, this is not what you were talking about, right?
Definitely not. I have no recollection of this. It is clearly photoshopped.
I did Photoshop the bottle and the pacifier, but I just...
Oh, yeah, no, my face is definitely photoshopped onto there, too. Actually, in fact, you know what? I don't even know that location. I've never even been there.
This is, well, I'll remind you, because this is inside my kitchen in my house. I'm also holding the camera, and I remember you putting it on because you thought it was cool.
You know what, man? I even thought about playing a tournament in that.
No way.
Yeah, man. Intimidation factor. They'd be like, man, this dude's not scared to wear a onesie in public. He definitely ain't scared to play me.
That's definitely gonna violate the dress code somehow. But
wait, is this a gotta catch 'em all?
This is a Pokemon bowl waffle iron. So like I don't really know much.
This is actually kind of dope.
Yeah, but I don't know a lot about Pokemon. I'll admit. I feel like maybe I am a little too old to have grasped.
Well, the fact that you just said Pokemon automatically disqualifies you.
Oh, okay. Well, good. There we go. Well,
but I don't give two shits about Pokemon, but it is. I do know that you don't call it Pokemon or Pokemons.
it's Pokemon. I'm down by the beach, boy. It's Pokemon. I just.
But that actually is pretty dope. That's actually really cool. Like, I bet like a current game is called Destiny, and they have like a little ghost orb thing. And I bet if somebody was to make that, they could sell them. We should do that.
We're gonna sell those.
Hey, we might as well. Why not? I don't know what these little gold nuggets are.
Well, you got the nugget part right. You got the nugget part.
What are these little nuggies? What are these little nugs I'm looking at?
They're horse nugs.
Oh no, they're fucking horse turds.
It's horse turds that you can buy that are preserved, and they're from this horse called Silver Charm, who was a Hall of Fame thoroughbred that ran at the Kentucky Derby. They have a site for Father's Day where you can purchase these Like, how does one even, like, what kind of person gets petrified or preserved horse shit for their father, dude? Tell me, please.
I mean, I would do it as a prank. I would never do it like for real. Like, hey, pops, love you.
Here's some horse
Hold
shit.
these turds. You know what, man? When I was walking around the gift shop and I'm looking around and I'm thinking of which items, just remind me of Dad. When I got to the turds in a jar, I just couldn't stop thinking about you.
I couldn't stop thinking about you. Wow.
Holy shit.
Well,
what is this?
If your pops is suffering from skin tags, you could get him a skin tag remover. Like, how old does your father have to be that this is something that he actually wants for Father's Day?
Like, yeah, okay. Interesting.
He said, yeah, okay, interesting.
What is this?
You'll like this. Like, for if your dad smokes
Oh,
pot.
shit.
If your dad smokes pot, you can get him a pot vending machine.
So what is it? Just like whenever he re-ups, he can just put different strains in different slots, and you
have
holy
your neighbors,
crap!
You have your neighbors come over. You know what I mean? Like, around your house, come over to your house, put some money in the machine, boom.
That would be sweet.
That would be sweet, he says. I can't even. Can you imagine? Like, we might be there soon. We might be there soon where there's vending machines where you can, like, how you buy cigarettes right now. Like when I'm in Virginia Beach at Q's, and they have the cigarette vending machine. Maybe we'll have pot vending machine. Well, they're already here, but maybe we'll have them in different places where you just go in and you can get like a blunt or a joint or something.
That'd be crazy cool and
like
convenient.
It could come, right?
If you build it. What is this little gadget?
This is a polar solar generator. So, like, if your dad's super
polar
old,
solar generator?
Yeah, can you say that? All in, like, can you say it fast 5
polar,
times?
Polar solar?
Yeah.
What the hell is a polar solar?
I'm sorry,
polar
portable.
The opposite of solar.
Did I say polar? I meant portable. It's a portable.
That's totally different. Okay. Makes sense now because it's a little portable box.
Polar.
Not polar. Portable.
Wow. How freaking crazy is that?
From the man who watches a whole season of a show in the wrong language and then proclaims to me that the show is voiced over and the show is with subtitles. They're 100% speaking Spanish with English subtitles in the show. And by the way,
did you forget?
It is fucking amazing. Yeah. I'm not all the way through it. I just hit part 2. And holy shit. Like Helsinki just died.
Well, don't ruin it for everybody now. Jesus. There might be people that still haven't watched it.
Nah, if it's been out this long and somebody has it spoiled, like if there's anybody in the chat who's like, hey, I'm watching it, I won't spoil anything. But the show's been out for a long time.
But if I remember correctly, like you gave me mad shit, and then you told me later on that you watched it and it was sick.
Oh, I didn't give you mad shit for watching it. I gave you mad shit because
I know.
Are just trying to, you know what? I'll give you this one pass for the next
I'll give you this one pass because there's how
something's
could you
happening
do that?
That's making my webcam flicker. I keep seeing it like it flicks purple for a second. I don't know what it is.
Really?
Yeah, you'll see it if you watch it. I don't know what's happening.
Well, I see you fine, man.
Oh, it just happened.
That's crazy.
What is this uniform?
It's a Darth Vader
Why
blazer.
Stripes on the shoulder.
It's a Darth Vader blazer.
Get the fuck out.
You're not even so like you never man, like it's almost sacrilege that you don't like Star Wars. Like I'm almost offended that
I didn't say I didn't like Star Wars. I just think that jacket was stupid.
It is stupid. This shit was in the news, bro. That's why it is stupid.
What is this? Draw a picture?
They actually make custom coloring pages to give to your dad. Like if your dad's a colorer, if that's a word. Look at your face. It's like
I'm so confused right now. Like, are you telling me that somebody printed this off and intended to give it to the dad to color, or I don't think that's what the product is. I think the product is that the kids get together and they color a picture of the family and give it to the dad as a piece of art.
No, it's just for dad.
I don't think that they made that with the intention of the dad coloring.
This is 100% for the dad who wants to color. 100%. Don't get it twisted.
Oh shit.
This is, but you could get them banana whiskey. I don't know how. I'm not like a real big whiskey drinker, so like I don't know how banana whiskey would. Sounds pretty disgusting.
Bro, why does his hair look like an oversized mustache? It looks like a mustache. It just floated up.
You have some serious issues.
Oh my god, his mustache went bananas, bro.
It ran up his whole face.
What is this chocolate?
This is a chocolate peanut butter pizza.
Why does it look like chocolate raviolis?
This is a chocolate peanut butter pizza. It's actually
is it like regular pizza with chocolate and peanut butter, or it's chocolate and peanut butter and they're calling it a pizza?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's chocolate and peanut butter and they're calling it a pizza. Which reminds me,
it looks dope. It actually looks dope.
Yeah, when I come down in October, like, just maybe you should think about picking one of these up somewhere. You search it on the internet and get it. Make sure it's at your house.
I'll make sure I get the little gold leaves too, scatter it out for you.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Because you said I'm bougie, so now I need the chocolate pizza pie.
Well, you ain't gonna get one of these.
Well, first of all, I don't even want to get into that conversation.
I'll get you one of these so you can put your fucking chocolate pizza in it.
Oh, God.
Snack pouch.
And
look how happy that guy is. That's how happy you'd be with it, man.
Oh my God, that'd be great.
Satisfaction guaranteed.
Oh my God, man. I'm definitely
Holy crap! It's 1 in the morning.
I know.
Ooh.
I think we should wrap this joint up.
How about that life, man? It was a good episode. We talked about a lot of stuff, man. Covered a lot with George Floyd and the current movement that's going on. I feel like it was a good conversation. Hopefully people are thinking critically and thinking for themselves and not being hateful towards each other, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Take a second.
I had a good time. I had a good time on the second half, but I definitely wanted to make sure, we took some time and talked about the issues. Like it was real important just to be able to get that out there. Anything's necessary. So it was good, man. It was a good show. Anything else you want to say to everybody watching?
No. I can't wait till we can get our own HBO show, because if they can give one to Elmo, they can give one to us, bro.
That's what I was saying, man. The whole time I was listening to it, I'm like, Elmo's got a show. There's a shot. There's a shot, HBO. Somebody knows HBO. They got Elmo on. Let's go. All right, man.
We're coming for Elmo.
Till next episode, brother. We out.
You've been listening to You've Been Warned with Jake and Josh. Catch us streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Make sure to tune in next time. Or don't. You've been warned.